And welcome into another episode of Tiger Territory, part of the Foul Territory Network, a Detroit Tigers podcast. I'm Kieran Steckley. With me, as always, a man who is known on the streets of 8 Mile as NNN because he's got so much news and notes. He is Cody Stavenhagen. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, that's what the people want. News and notes. All right, real quick rant. One of my favorite things, people who don't live in Detroit or Michigan, is the idea that 8 Mile is like a neighborhood, like a bad neighbor. People, it's a road. It is a very long road. I live just off 8 Mile. It's all right.
You doing all right? You doing all right? Yeah, that's what these podcasts are for. Little check-ins to make sure you haven't and nothing's happened to you. Which leads us to we're recording this Wednesday morning, a very chaotic Tuesday night game against the Guardians, as everything, and we'll get to this, but everything is intensified and magnified, and every little thing becomes at least a medium thing, and a lot of times a big thing. So before we get to the game, the news and notes element here, we did get a little bit of clarity and some updates with some of the Tigers injuries. And I don't know, I guess Skubal's the most important thing. It's like Friday night didn't even happen, right? He's like, yeah, I had a bullpen, no issue. Like it's a straight.
It's a little bit weird. Like it is a little bit like, I don't know. Did they just give this guy some crazy painkillers and be like, it's all good? I mean, I want to believe Tarik when he says he's 100%, says there's no soreness through his bullpen, totally normal. Like it's convincing, but then it's like, well, wait, you exited a game like a couple days ago and seemed low key kind of worried. So like, are we sure this is just all sunshine and rainbows, or are you just like really trying to make sure you don't lose your grip on that Cy Young award? I don't know, but hey, if you are a Tigers fan, you got to be very glad to see that your ace is here, saying he's healthy, looking ready to rock, throwing a good bullpen. Could have been a lot worse, it seems. We'll maybe have a better idea if he's really 100% once we see him get off that mound. But, man, sounds like crisis avoided.
Well, and what could be a pretty crucial game on Thursday. Not that it wasn't going to be anyway, but again, everything's magnified. But not so good news for one Matt Vierling. Seems like probably if you're holding out hope, it's probably time to move on to something else. To see him this season, is that kind of a fair way to look at it?
Yeah, I think so. AJ Hinch basically said, "I don't know," when asked, like, is there time to get him ramped back up to help you? I think for the regular season, it's a pretty clear no. I mean, we got 11 games left. Matt Vierling's not even out on rehab assignment right now. I think the question becomes, if you can get him healthy for the ALCS or the World Series, do you activate him when he has not played in a very long time, when he has barely played all season long, but is still, a player who can do a lot of good things, as a guy who was a huge part of last year's team. Unfortunately, I just think that's where we're at. It doesn't, it's hard to envision him getting back with any kind of form with the AAA season winding down. Really unfortunate for a guy who's just had a difficult year, who I think really wanted to come back and contribute. Someone the Tigers were kind of counting on to come back and contribute. We talked about, like, why didn't they add to their position core at the trade deadline? Well, they had Parker Meadows supposed to be coming back. They had Matt Vierling supposed to be coming back. It was like, it's kind of like a trade, I don't think they actually said that, but you can imagine them saying that, right?
Yeah.
Meadows is finally back, but he had an additional IL stint. Vierling's just never got going. It's unfortunate. One of the reasons I talk about injuries the way I do, though, because sometimes these things just linger. Sounds like Skubal avoided the worst. Sounds like Vierling has kind of become a worst case scenario.
And Finnegan and Seawalder, a couple other guys that we got a little bit of notion, and I get it's still undetermined, I guess. Like, anticipate returns when and what fashion, I guess, is what we're still waiting for.
Yeah, Seawald's getting one more rehab outing. I kind of thought he could be activated this week, but they're going to give him one more rehab outing. I'm expecting him to be active. I think you got to want to see this guy throw in the regular season a little bit. Be really interested to see who goes down for him. I guess it's possible they want to get through this Cleveland series with 3 left-handers and then bring him up this weekend against the Braves. I don't know. That's just a thought right now that seems possible. And then Kyle Finnegan, still undetermined, I think, if he's going to do a rehab assignment. That's kind of the question. I think if it were up to Kyle Finnegan, maybe you just throw it right out there.
Yeah.
I think it's fair. Like, it's going all the way to Iowa to face 3 AAA hitters, really going to help you at this point in the calendar. But I think the Tigers kind of just want to see him off the mound so that his first time back in big league action isn't, or back in game action isn't the 9th inning of a tight game that could have some playoff stakes attached to it. So we'll see, but I'm expecting both those guys to be back in the big leagues pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think there is some merit to the thought of like your first time in game action not being that high intense adrenaline, you know what I mean? And then you could like overexert yourself if you haven't had that form in a month, basically, you know what I mean? So I think there's a lot of merit to that, and that's typically their history anyway. All right, well, to the game itself. So obviously the Tigers lost 7-5 in extra innings, one that was not short of storylines. I think if I were to summarize it in one sentence, it would be that it was the most in and out of character game that the Tigers had played this season, because you had the never say die attitude stuff, and people can dismiss it if they want. That's fair, but I'll include the Torque home run in the 10th as a part of the never say die, like, you know, attitude, all 27 plus outs attitude with the team. But you also had outs on the base pass, which are in and out of character because they typically get them, but you only get out unless you get them. You don't get them unless you get them. So that's part of it. You know, you had a Casey Mize experience that was a lot of good, just a couple misses here that were costly. And then you had some tough defensive moments there as well, but also web gems like what Wenzel Perez did. If he doesn't get to that ball, it's an inside the park home run. So like that was a risky play that he had. So I don't know. You wrote about this game. It feels like a game that is more meaningful than just 1 out of 162. But that's all it is at the end of the day. So what's your takeaway from the beginning of this obviously crucial series with the Guardians?
Yeah, I'll start with our kind of banner here on YouTube. It is a tense time. I'm sensing some tension. I think I've talked about this a little bit. Like, when they clinch, if they clinch, is it just going to be an exhale? Because I think there's a little bit of like okay, we just got to not blow it. Like, don't blow it. And when you're playing that way, that can kind of take its toll. If we had Ajax on here to give another motivational speech, I think it'd be to flip the mindset from don't blow it to like, hey, just go win it.
Yeah.
Just go win it, In that vein, we shouldn't lose sight. The Tigers played a pretty good game on Tuesday night. I mean, it was a classic Tigers-Guardians game. It was, for the most part, pretty good baseball. It was entertaining. It was exciting. Again, Casey Mize, 3rd straight outing where he showed really good stuff. The best his splitter has looked in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, they lose the game. Mize left the outing a little frustrated, but I was really impressed. If he can keep doing that, you start feeling pretty good about what he can be for you in the playoffs all over again. But I also wrote that the Tigers have kind of been stuck in neutral for a little bit. Think back to early in the season when it just felt like everything was going their way all the time. And now it's kind of like, well, Rafael Montero faces 4 dudes, punches them all out. But then you bring in Will Vest, and he just hasn't had the same velocity. He's throwing around 95 instead of 98, 99 in the Guardians. Punch a couple balls that aren't even in the strike zone for extra bases, and then he makes one mistake and it gets clobbered, and then next thing you know, you look up and you're down 4 runs. Mize pitches well, but he doesn't cover first. Torkelson has a great game, but kind of misplays a hard hit ball with a weird hop and gets thrown out trying to take second on a ball in the dirt. This is just how it's been. It's like been this push and pull, and they just can't quite get everything going at the same time. I don't know if there's an explanation for that. Maybe that's quote unquote just baseball, but it also feels like maybe a symptom of I don't know if it's a symptom of the tension or if the tension is creating this play. The Tigers are up 5.5 games in the AL Central with 11 games left. It would take a pretty epic collapse to blow this. You'd pretty much have to lose out to the Guardians, most likely. But it's a little bit uncomfortable. The Seattle Mariners have won 10 in a row. You're only 2 games above them for that bye that kind of was seeming automatic. Now it's like, this ain't automatic, boys. You could be in that wild card series that no one wants to be in. So these are reasons. It is kind of tense times with 11 games left. You'd like maybe a win on Wednesday. You feel better all over again. But yeah, there's kind of a lot going on, and it's uncomfortable.
Well, it's unfamiliar. I mean, it's unfamiliar for a large group of the fan base. Obviously, the younger fan base that hasn't seen this kind of competitive ball this late in the year. Obviously, outside of last year, but winning the division potentially, and it's unfamiliar for them because every now and then I try to like clarify my thoughts on whether this is and we'll kind of get to this here in a second, but whether this is like a battle tested team or still like a young team, because sometimes it feels like both at the same time. And if you look at the quotes that are in your story, I would encourage everybody to go read it on The Athletic, is that like it feels like a team that has been through some things but hasn't been through everything. And trying to assess what's going on, it comes across in their quotes. Nobody said anything bad, but or like incorrect or like, oh, I don't like that mentality. But you could just tell it's like like maybe like 2 more years of baseball experience, they would have this kind of mindset thing like down pat. Problem is that doesn't help you, here in late September. So,
Kieran, I think that's shown up a little bit. Like the lack of real proven veterans. I mean, I guess you have Javi Baez. You traded for some guys with experience, but they haven't really been like an actual big part of the fabric of the team. I guess Finnegan maybe could count in that, although how much competitive baseball has he actually played? You just don't have that many guys who have been there and done it and can just be like, all right, we got this. I wonder if that shows up a little bit.
Yeah. And you'd like to see more like kind of come out of nowhere moments, like that Jake Rogers come out of nowhere pinch hit moment there would have been fun, and that would have been uncharacteristic of the team. It's like, it didn't work out that time, but they're still in a position that most teams are envious of across Major League Baseball. So that is also important to note. Still, you got to play the games in front of you, so we'll see what happens Wednesday and Thursday. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and then after that, Cody and I are going to have a little drafting our ride or die guys that we're going to that you would want to ride or die with on this team as you get to the postseason, and then odds on in the postseason. So first, a word from our sponsors. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Every snap is loaded with opportunity. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
All right. Coming back here to kind of explain this gimmick a little bit more. It's basically like guys that like, however the result plays out, you are comfortable with putting your trust in their hands, their playing ability, or maybe their managing ability. So I'll take first pick because this was my idea. I am going to take AJ Hinch for all of these reasons that we just talked about. and the way that the Tigers have been formed, the way that they are talked about by people in the game and out of the game, it all comes back to a reflection and respect for AJ Hinch. With respect to other managers, I'm not going to say like Tigers start every game with a strategical advantage, but they start every game with a strategical like there is a move that that other teams have to consider before anything else. And it's like they have that guy calling the shots. That what they say about the Tigers. So if you're and we talk about youth and all these things, like if there's not a better leader for this team, there's not a guy that's been able to galvanize their team better, in my opinion, than what AJ Hinch has been able to do since he took over the Tigers. And like this season has been in the making for several years now, and it's all a reflection of him. So he's my number one draft pick.
I'm going to take the ace, Tarik Skubal. Boy seems to be healthy. The Tigers are 42-18 in Skubal starts over the past 2 seasons. 42-18. They are a different team when he is on the mound. You look around the league, is there any other player that means as much to their team right now as Tarik Skubal, a pitcher who doesn't even play every single day? I'm not sure I can come up with anyone. I mean, I guess you could say like Aaron Judge or something, but
sounds like an MVP case, Cody, which I've been saying for a bit.
Well, he's not going to win MVP, Kieran. I don't know if you paid attention to what Judge and Cal Raleigh are doing, but man, he is certainly very valuable to the Tigers.
Yeah, you can't criticize that pick at all. I'm sticking with the coaching staff, and I'm going with Alex Cora. This feels weird, given
you're not going with Alex Cora.
Yeah, I am
Joey Cora.
Or excuse me, Joey Cora. Sorry. Yep, that's a me L right there.
L. What a bad draft pick.
Yeah. Well, actually, Alex Cora would be a good draft pick. He is quite a good manager, but Joey Cora in this case, because again, it's the trust factor. Like the Tigers have been successful in large part because of the trust that they have put into Joey Cora. In the preparation that he brings, and not to mention just infield play. Let's not, you talk about like what Colt Keith has had to go through this year. I think we both agree that Gleyber Torres has been better as an infield defender than we would have necessarily expected coming into this year. And no matter who has come in, they've all bought into Joey Cora's like mantra, and also like if he told me like I have to take the extra base, I'm just doing it. Like no questions asked. He's a no questions asked coach. So I'm going with Joey Cora.
All right. I feel like I'm going to keep building a baseball team full of baseball players. But I see your approach. If we're talking ride or die, like who's solid? Who do you know what you're getting from? Cora and Hinch, right? They fit that bill, and Skubal fits that bill. And I look at some of these other guys, it's like, well, I don't know exactly what to expect, but I'm going to take Dylan Dingler.
Okay.
This guy's young, man. We keep forgetting he's in his first full MLB season. Yeah. He barely played in last year's playoffs. This will be a different test for him, but you want someone who's steady, man. You want someone who's kind of become a subtle leader. I'm going Dylan Dingler. I've heard a lot of people likening him to Lance Parrish lately, in that he's just kind of this stoic, kind of silent, but kind of this gladiator. And he really is those things. I feel really good about Dingler calling a good game, playing good defense, being able to contribute at the plate, being steady no matter the stage. Given the catcher's importance to the team, given the years Dingler is having, I'll ride or die with that guy.
All right. I like that. In regards to Dingler, I've been impressed with his command of the team. And I mean that with like just obviously the calling the games, and also just like being able to know when his pitchers need like a second to get the umpires out of there, especially Skubal or whatever. Like he has an amazing feel for a guy who is just over 1 year of major league service time. And I can't wait to see what he does in the postseason. I'm going to go with what could have been the hero of last night, but still a feather in his cap to his ability and what he brings to the table, and that's Kerry Carpenter. Kerry Carpenter, we all remember the home run off Class A last year, but he was also 308 in the ALDS. Like he was one of your, and again, the what if factor, we don't play that because it doesn't matter. But what if he doesn't strain his hamstring? He still managed to hit 308, and he almost had another home run in that series, if you guys will recall. So I think Kerry Carpenter is very deserving to be at the top of this list. And I want to remind everybody that just because they lost that game does not take away from that moment. Was that his first career pinch hit home run? He had.
No way, right?
I'll have to look
There's
that
no
up.
way.
I'll have to look that up. But yeah, Kerry Carpenter is a guy who has proven time and time again to come up in big moments. So that's who I'm going with.
Big moments. I'm sure there will be some big moments and big ABs for him in the postseason. It's one reason I wouldn't really want to see the Boston Red Sox, knowing you're going to have at least 2 crochet starts where Carpenter could be on the bench for the vast majority of those games. I guess you'd say the same with Rodon and the Yankees, but Crochet especially, that guy's probably going 6 or 7, and that's going to keep, in theory, Carp out of the game, so I don't like that. Who else are we riding or dying with? It's a harder question than you would think. Why are we not leaping to take Riley Green? Probably because he's streaky, but I'm going to take Riley Green. Riley Green's a good player. Riley Green can be a difference maker. He's a bat other managers don't want to see coming up. Whether it's pretty or not, he's going to play his heart out in the field. He does a lot of things that impact the baseball game. You got to hope Riley's hitting a little bit and not in one of these dry spells during the playoffs, but you kind of got to dance with the ones who brung you in the postseason, and Riley Green's a big guy who got you here. I'll take him.
That was Kerry Carpenter's first career pinch hit home run.
Wow.
And he's only had 2 home runs when he subbed in his career. So,
wow.
Interesting stat there. Okay, yeah. I mean, that's a good pick. I'm going with Parker Meadows. Parker Meadows, we know what he does for this team when he is in the lineup. I'm liking that he's getting starts against lefties. And I'm looking for comfort whenever he's in the box and comfortable enough that I feel like, yes, give him those at bats. People forget because of what Andy Ibanez did, and then in Game 2 of the wild card series. But let's not forget that Parker Meadows hit a home run off the foul pole in that game. That got that game, because that was a stonewall game, and he was able to break the seal. So that was important, and then still managed to nearly hit 300 in the ALDS and had a hit in every single postseason game last year. And I didn't even mention his defense or what he can do, obviously, running the base pass. So Parker Meadows, I'll ride or die with that guy.
There you go. Glaber's still available, right?
Yep.
I'm taking Glaber. You talk about the picture of steadiness. I know his performance hasn't been as good in the second half, but I think he's starting to find that form again. Right-handed bat, he can neutralize some of those lefty starters we were just talking about. He is someone managers don't want their lefties to face. He can kind of impact how AJ Hinch manages the game. And the dude's just steady. He's probably going to give you a good at bat. If he can get hot a little bit, man, be able to set that table a little bit in the 1 or 2 spot in your order, goes a long way. Glaber's kind of been the definition of ride or die. I kind of regret that he's going this low in this year draft.
All right. For the record, Gleyber Torres, 45 postseason games, 45 in his career.
We talked about those veterans. Glaber's that dude.
Average with a 795 OPS. Also, interestingly, he is 6 for 6 in, or 6 and 6, I should say, 6 and 6 in series. So the next postseason series will determine whether he's a 500 or worse postseason player when it comes to series. So we are going to continue this draft and some other names and some other considerations. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Kratz, I'm going to steal a line right from the top here about MeUndies. A cut for every butt. I took a line that I feel like you would enjoy, but then you stole my thunder with show and tell. What do you have there?
Besides a huge Baduka dunk, this is my pair of MeUndies that I got. I'm not going to show you the other pair right now because I got them on, but it doesn't even feel like you have them on. Super soft, flexible, and yet holding everything together.
I love the 20 different styles, 100 different colors and prints, and the micro-modal fabric is what you're talking about. Breathable, stretchy, unbelievably cozy. And right now, as a listener of FT, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/foul and enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/foul, promo code FOUL for up to 50% off. MeUndies, comfort that's made for fall.
All right, coming back here, I wanted to make a little note as we interrupt our draft, is that a lot of times when you do research for things, like we do on this podcast, you like realize stuff that like you probably already knew, but it just like is in your face. And one of those is that the difference between a 3-game series and a 5-game series. Now, obviously, in the 3-game series last year, it only lasted 2 because the Tigers won both games against the Astros. But like, you look at batting performances in those smaller sample sizes, and then you look at them versus just a little bit larger sample size over the course of 5 games, and you see that guys settling in, you see just better numbers. And it kind of emphasizes like what this team is built for. This team is not built like, I know they play 3-game series throughout the season, but like everything on the line, like it's not necessarily built to win a 3-game playoff series. It's built to win a 5 and a 7-game playoff series, more so.
Is it?
Well, yeah, because if you're playing the Yankees,
you don't have enough starting pitching to be built for a 7-game playoff series.
Built for, and what the results that have come through with injuries and stuff is a little bit different. But the power elements of like the Yankees or whatever, like that plays a lot better in a shorter sample size. All you need is Judge, and we saw it. All you need is Judge and Giancarlo to go yard, and it's like their equivalent of starting Tarik Skubal in 1 game. So the over the course of a series, the advantage is that top 2 guys on my squad, AJ Hinch and Joey Cora, play out a little bit better over the course of 5 or 7 games. So. Just a fun little side note with this exercise, which brings me to Will Vest. Now we're recording this obviously right after Will Vest had himself a down outing, and in some ways, not playing blame, but giving up a 4 spot there to begin extras. I'm sure the winning percentage is quite low. When you give up 4 to begin extra innings, so put them in the hole there pretty bad, and it was more or less done from there. But Nia, to remind you that last postseason he pitched 6 innings, he gave up 3 hits, he gave up 1 run, and he had 9 Ks. So like in terms of the ride or die mentality and what we know about Will Vest and his ability to come up big, I'm not going to overreact to 1 game. But I'm still putting Will Vest on my squad.
Wasn't he throwing like 99, 100 in the playoffs last year?
He was.
We got to stop acting like Will Vest at 95 is like, okay, nothing to see here. Something's not right there. Got to hope he's healthy. Maybe it's just like a long season, a lot of appearances, but still, man, you got to get the best version of his fastball. I'm looking at this pitching staff, Kieran. I feel like I need to draft a pitcher. And I feel like this says a lot about the team, and that I don't really want to draft any of these pitchers. Some of them can be good, but I just don't. AJ Hinch said Tuesday, I think we're a deeper team than we've been given credit. And that felt to me like, stop saying our pitching is thin. All right. It's deep in that, you have Sewald, you have Finnegan coming back. I could be talked into taking Kyle Finnegan right here. But just because you have a lot of them doesn't mean you feel good about any of them. And I think that's the issue. Just to take a pitcher, I'm going to take Tyler Holton. Tyler Holton hasn't quite been the same guy, or at least hasn't quite got the same results this season. He's had some better outings lately. He's still had a couple outings where things haven't gone his way. But Tyler Holton is going to be in some big spots in the playoffs. You know, AJ Hinch is going to bring him in for a pocket of lefties when it matters most. He's not quite the Holton of last year, but he's probably going to give you a competitive effort. I think he's going to factor in big time, good or bad. He's been there a little bit. This guy's thrown a lot of innings for you. He deserves some trust. So I'll take Tyler Holton here.
So I was looking at the pitching usage from the ALDS last season. Obviously, Skubal, just flat out innings. Skubal with 13, he made 2 starts. Reese Olson basically made 2 starts. I know he came in for your aforementioned Holton in game 1 of the DS last year. But sometimes you forget how much they relied on Bo Brisky, who made an appearance in 4 or 5 games. Montero pitched 3 innings in that series. Sean Gunther, got in 3 games of that series. Jackson Jobe was in there. Ty Madden, there was a Ty Madden appearance in the postseason.
I did forget that one.
And so, that goes to show just how things can change for better or for worse over the course of a year, and how the Tigers also approach the pitching. So, you know what, in that regard, I'm going to go ahead and draft Chris Fetter because if the pitching staff is, not as thin as you think it is, and you have all these names, and hell, maybe Montero's a guy, you know what I mean? And Rafael in this case, there's got to be some credit going around somewhere. And we haven't really been singing the praises of Chris Fetter as much this year for, whatever reason. But he's still a guy that I'm riding or dying with his game planning, with his coaching, in-game coaching, and with his ability to build with AJ a pitching plan and a pitching staff on a series-to-series, game-to-game basis.
There you go.
So I got the whole bench.
There you go. I mentioned Kyle Finnegan. I'll take him. He's, if you dream of the best case scenario, could be him or Vess getting you that last out of the World Series. Losing the time with the injury hurts, but he was really good as a Tiger. You can look at the BABIP numbers and all that. He's probably going to give up another run at some point in time, but Kyle Finnegan is going to pitch leverage innings for the Detroit Tigers in the playoffs. He's a very good pitcher. He's pitched in the 9th inning for the most of his major league career. Seems very excited to be on this team, to be able to pitch in the postseason. I'm gonna take Kyle Finnegan. I think he was easily the best of your trade deadline acquisitions, and that's going to be tested, in October when it matters most.
All right. I'm going to take Spencer Torkelson, who did not have jump off the page numbers in last year's postseason, but last year's Torkelson is not this year's Torkelson. He did manage to get 3 extra base hits, all doubles, against Cleveland last ALDS, and we understand the defensive elements of this, but we also know what can be done offensively, and he had himself a great day yesterday. So I don't feel like I'm overreacting by taking him this late. But at a certain point, you ride or die. He's better in leverage, I think, than some people give him credit for. I'll verify that stat. But you could do a lot worse this late in the draft with drafting a 30 home run hitter to come up in big spots.
Give me Andy Ibanez.
There you go.
Postseason hero. We'll see how much he plays, whatever. I mean, just talked about Crochet, just talked about Rodon. Andy's going to get some run in the playoffs. He's been there. He's done it. This is what he's built for. That late inning leverage at bat. Been pretty good since coming back. Actually, if you look at his numbers, they've tapered off a little bit since he was red hot. Coming back from Toledo, but Andy, man, I'll take that guy in a pinch anytime.
Yeah, just to follow up on Torque real quick. I agree. We saw it last year. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Spencer Torkelson is a 274 hitter with an 843 OPS. You could do a lot worse at this point in the draft. Let me go with Javi Baez.
Oh boy.
Javi Baez for a couple of simple reasons. One, there is experience there. Again, not eye-popping numbers in the postseason in his career. He does have a World Series Game 7 home run. That's not nothing. And he is somebody that you're definitely going to have to ride or die on defensively. And he made a nice play on the play at home yesterday. You're gonna have to ride or die with his defense because for all of his offensive faults, you just can't play Trey Sweeney in these spots. And against lefties, you're not gonna probably put Zach McKinstry right now at shortstop. So that's my reasoning. There is a moment, there is experience, and like you're gonna have to rely on him in some way.
There you go. I'm going to take Winsel Perez, a little late round value here.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen Winsel Perez change the dynamic of a game this season?
Almost happened yesterday.
Almost it. The answer is a lot. This guy can create chaos in a lot of ways. Not always pretty in the field, but he's made some big plays. Not afraid to go take that extra base. He's come up with a lot of big swings for this team. He is not a perfect player, but he's a pretty good baseball player who can kind of help you really in a 5-tool type manner. So sign me up for Winsel Perez. If you want to take a pick for an unlikely playoff hero, I think he would fit the bill.
Yeah, except in my mind, I don't even think it'd be that unlikely for the reasons that you just laid out there.
Right.
Like the national people, yes, but like in my mind, I'm heavily valuing Winsel Perez. Again, I'm just gonna go with the experience thing. I'm gonna go with Jack Flaherty. We know the Jack Flaherty experience. We've lived the Jack Flaherty experience, but I'm gonna give respect to a man that has a World Series ring, and it wasn't 8 years ago. It was last year. We consider the Dodgers a well-run, smart team, and they relied on Jack Flaherty down the stretch last year. So that's that's my analysis right there. It's got to be worth something.
All right. I don't know how many rounds we're going here.
We can stop at any time.
Well, all right. I think we'd be remiss if someone didn't take Zach McKinstry. There's pretty much no one Scott Harris and AJ Hinch have rode or died with over the last 2 years like Zach McKinstry. This is a guy that they have stuck it out with through a lot of lean times and then celebrated as he was good at last year in August and celebrated as he had himself an all-star first half. He has played, we refer to him as a utility guy, super utility guy. He has played 134 games this season. He is an everyday player, even though he's playing all around the diamond, still having himself a nice year, even if the second half production has not been the same. He's going to play a lot for you in the playoffs. You're going to need him offensively, defensively. They've trusted this guy through so much, and in a lot of ways, he has rewarded that trust. Let's see if he can do it in the playoffs. McKinstry's hitting just .210 with a 646 OPS since the All-Star break. Be nice if he could get you going a little bit.
All right, and I'll just go ahead and make the last pick here as we're approaching 40 minutes of this episode. It's more of a respect thing. I want to see what you want to talk about. Could be surprising heroes. Colt Keith is a guy that would fit into that list. I think we all see the upside. We all see glimpses of the upside. He obviously hasn't put together. He's also a very, very young player. Didn't do anything much of note in last season's playoffs. But again, with a lot of these guys, how valuable was last year's run? Well, later tonight, tomorrow, rest of the regular season and into the postseason, we're going to probably get a lot of that answer because Colt Keith is a guy that he has been through a lot in his major league career. And I think he'd be somebody deserving of one of those like postseason moments. So I'm going to take Colt Keith there.
All right. My final pick will be Troy Melton.
Okay.
He's a rookie. I don't know if we can ride or die with him. There's not a lot of enough sample to really know, but he's been damn good since the Tigers brought him aboard. He has the type of stuff that can play against anyone. We know they have used him strategically in part, so he will be available for you in the playoffs. there's going to be like a game 3, game 4 bullpen day type thing where you're probably going to need 2, 3, 4 innings from Troy Melton, and how that goes could determine whether you win, that game 3, that game 4. Right now, he's shown every reason to have a lot of trust in him. Last couple of performances haven't been as good, at least results wise, but it's in there, and we will see if betting that much on a rookie was the right decision. But I'll ride or die with Troy Melton.
Well, you gotta, the Tigers are riding or dying with the decision to not stretch him out at any point and make him a starter. So, I mean, that's just what's happened. And so hopefully he gets a good run in the postseason to kind of validate that a little bit, because the stuff and the guy is hard not to root for or believe in. All right, that was a lot of fun. You can follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Cody Stavenhagen. I'm at Kieran _Steckley, pod page at Tiger Territory _. Make sure to go to tigerterritory.shop.com to get your Tiger Territory merch, and also follow us on YouTube and Apple and Spotify, and 5-star review if you feel so inclined. Subscribe on YouTube so we can continue to grow there. We have a lot of fun doing this, and we appreciate all of you. So for Cody Stavenhagen, I'm Kieran Steckley. Everybody have a great day.